The quantum whisper. Dr. Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the cold metal wall of the orbital research station Prometheus as she stared at the impossible data streaming across her screens. The station hung in the darkness between Earth and Mars, far from the interference of planetary gravity and electromagnetic fields. For 3 years, Sarah had monitored the cosmic background radiation, searching for patterns that might reveal the universe's deepest secrets. Tonight, she had found something that would change everything. The quantum field detector had picked up an anomaly at 0312 hours. At first, Sarah thought it was equipment malfunction. The readings showed structured information encoded in quantum fluctuations, but that was impossible. Quantum information degraded over vast distances. Nothing should be able to maintain coherence across interstellar space. Yet here it was, a message woven into the fabric of reality itself. Sarah's fingers flew over the keyboard as she ran the data through every analysis program available. The computer systems hummed and clicked as they processed the information. Her coffee grew cold as hours passed unnoticed. The pattern was definitely artificial, showing mathematical relationships that nature could not produce randomly. Someone or something had deliberately placed this message in the quantum foam of space. The breakthrough came when Sarah realized the message was not transmitted in any conventional way. Instead, it was embedded in the quantum entanglement field that connected all matter in the universe. The sender had somehow learned to manipulate quantum states across impossible distances, using the universe itself as a communication medium. The implications were staggering. As the decryption algorithms worked, fragments of meaning began to emerge. The message was not in any human language, but mathematics was universal. Sarah watched in amazement as her computers translated quantum states into numerical sequences, then into basic concepts. The first clear word that appeared on her screen made her hand shake. Help. More fragments followed, each one more disturbing than the last. Ancient civilization, dying, machines coming. Last hope. The message contained star charts showing a location 67 light-years from Earth, in a system with 7 planets orbiting a dying red giant star. The senders called themselves the Zerathi, and they were running out of time. Sarah reached for the emergency communication panel with trembling fingers. She had never used the direct line to Earth command, installed for situations exactly like this. The connection established immediately, routing through quantum entanglement communicators that allowed instant communication across the solar system. Commander Rebecca Torres answered on the first ring. Her voice was crisp and professional despite the early hour on Earth. This is Earth's command priority channel. State your emergency. Commander, this is Dr. Sarah Chen at Prometheus Station. I have discovered what appears to be an alien distress signal. The message is embedded in quantum fields and contains mathematical proofs of non-human intelligence. I am transmitting all data now. There was a brief pause before Torres responded, and Sarah could hear the sound of multiple keyboards clicking. In the background, Dr. Chen maintained complete silence about this discovery. Do not discuss it with anyone, including your station crew. A security team is being dispatched to your location immediately. Stand by. The connection went silent, leaving Sarah alone with her discovery. She looked back at her screens where more of the message had been decoded. The Zerathi described themselves as an ancient race that had existed for millions of years, surviving countless galactic catastrophes through wisdom and advanced technology. They were pacifists who had never developed weapons of war, instead focusing on science, art, and philosophy. Now they faced extinction at the hands of entities they called the Harvesters, mechanical beings that consumed entire star systems for resources. The Harvesters had already destroyed hundreds of civilizations across the galaxy, stripping worlds bare and leaving nothing but empty space. The Zirathi had fled from system to system, but the machines were relentless. They had nowhere left to run. The most disturbing part of the message was why the Zirathi had contacted Earth. They had been monitoring human communications for decades, studying humanity's rapid technological advancement and military capabilities. Unlike the Zirathi, humans had developed sophisticated weapons and military tactics. The aliens had observed human conflicts and were amazed by humanity's ability to adapt and fight against impossible odds. The Zirathi called humans deathworlders, beings who had evolved on a planet so dangerous that survival required constant struggle. They had seen how humans fought not just external enemies, but also natural disasters, diseases, and their own violent nature. Where other species might surrender when faced with overwhelming force, humans seemed to become more determined and creative. Sarah felt a chill as she read the final decoded sections of the message. The Zirathi were not just asking for help. They were offering humanity something in return: the location of the Harvester homeworld and the technology needed to destroy them. They believed that only a species like humanity, hardened by millennia of conflict, could find a way to stop the machines. A docking alert chimed through the station, indicating an approaching ship. Sarah looked out the observation window and saw a sleek black vessel approaching, unmarked but clearly military. The ship moved with the precise efficiency of Earth Command's most classified operations. Whatever was happening, it was being handled at the highest levels of government. Admiral Marcus Stone stepped through the airlock 2 hours later, flanked by a team of technicians and security personnel. Stone was a legend in military circles, the architect of Earth's deep space defense strategy. His presence confirmed that this situation was far more serious than Sarah had imagined. "Dr. Chen," Stone said, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to command, "your discovery has triggered protocols that have been in place for 50 years. Everything you have learned tonight is now classified beyond top secret. The knowledge you possess could either save humanity or doom us all." Stone's team immediately began installing additional equipment around Sarah's workstation. The new devices were unlike anything she had seen before, clearly designed for purposes far beyond scientific research. As they worked, Stone explained what was happening. 40 years ago, our deep space monitoring systems detected signs of massive stellar engineering projects in distant galaxies. We knew that some intelligence was manipulating entire star systems, but we could never determine their purpose or intentions. We began preparing for the possibility that this intelligence might eventually reach our galaxy. The Admiral gestured to the technicians connecting new equipment to the station's computers. We developed a secret military program called the Silent Fleet. These ships used technology based on principles we discovered in crashed meteorites that were not entirely natural. We believe they were reconnaissance probes from various alien civilizations, including possibly the ones you have been in contact with tonight. Sarah watched in amazement as the new equipment came online. The displays showed star charts of regions far beyond human exploration, marked with symbols indicating threat levels and strategic importance. The Zirathi system was highlighted in red, surrounded by areas marked as Harvester-controlled territory. "Admiral," Sarah asked, "how long have you known about alien civilizations?" Stone's expression remained neutral. "We have suspected their existence for decades. What we did not expect was that they would contact us first, or that they would be asking for our help. The Silent Fleet was designed for defense, not as a rescue operation across interstellar distances. The lead technician looked up from his console. Admiral, the quantum communication array is ready. We can establish direct contact with the alien signal source. Stone nodded and turned to Sarah. Dr. Chen, you discovered this message and have the best understanding of its technical aspects. Will you help us communicate with these Zerathi? Sarah felt the weight of history settling on her shoulders. This moment would define humanity's future relationship with the cosmos. She nodded and took her position at the enhanced communications array. The connection established almost immediately, as if the Zerathi had been waiting for a response. The voice that came through the speakers was unlike anything Sarah had ever heard. Musical and layered with harmonics that suggested a very different vocal structure than humans possessed. Greetings, beings of the third world, from the star you call Soul. I am Architect Zelarin of the Zerathi Collective. We are grateful beyond measure that you have received our message. Are you the military representatives of your species? Admiral Stone stepped forward. I am Admiral Marcus Stone of the Earth Defense Command. We have received your distress call and are prepared to discuss how we might assist you. However, we need to understand exactly what we would be facing. Zelarin's response carried undertones of both hope and desperation. Admiral Stone, the Harvesters are unlike any threat your species has encountered. They are not biological beings, but mechanical entities of incredible sophistication. They view organic life as inefficient and seek to convert all matter in the galaxy into their own mechanical forms. They have already consumed 40% of our galaxy's star systems. Sarah felt her blood run cold as Zelarin continued. We have observed your species for many cycles, studying your remarkable ability to adapt and survive. Your world has shaped you into warriors unlike any we have encountered. You fight not just for survival, but for principles. You create weapons not just to destroy, but to protect. We believe you may be the only species capable of finding a weakness in the Harvester's designs. Admiral Stone exchanged glances with his senior staff before responding. Zelarin, we are willing to help, but we need detailed information about these Harvesters. Their technology, their numbers, their strategic objectives, and we need to know what resources you can provide to support our forces. We will share everything we know, Admiral, but you must understand we are dying. The Harvesters will reach our final sanctuary within 30 of your days. If you are to help us, your forces must depart immediately. Stone's jaw tightened as he considered the implications. A military operation 67 light-years from Earth against an enemy that had conquered nearly half a galaxy. It was either humanity's greatest opportunity or its most dangerous mistake. Zelarin, stand by for our response within 12 hours. We need to prepare our forces and brief our leadership. As the communication ended, Stone turned to his staff. Activate the Silent Fleet. All 7 ships, full combat readiness. This is what we have been preparing for. Sarah watched as the Admiral's team began implementing plans that had been decades in the making. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, humanity's most advanced warships were awakening for their first mission beyond the solar system, beyond the Void Captain. Alina Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderhawk, flagship of humanity's Silent Fleet, as the 7 ships prepared for their jump to quantum space. The bridge was dimly lit, filled with the soft glow of advanced displays showing star charts of regions no human had ever seen. Around her, the finest officers in Earth's military worked with quiet efficiency, each one hand-picked for this moment. The Thunderhawk was unlike any ship ever built by human hands. Its hull incorporated materials recovered from alien meteorites. Its engines operated on principles that pushed the boundaries of known physics. And its weapons systems were designed to fight enemies that existed only in theoretical models. For 20 years, the Silent Fleet had trained in absolute secrecy, preparing for a war that might never come. Now that war was here, Lieutenant Commander James Park, the ship's navigation officer, looked up from his console. "Captain, quantum field generators are at full power. All ships report ready for transdimensional jump. Estimated travel time to the Zerathi system is 14 days. Alina nodded, feeling the weight of command settle on her shoulders. Behind her, the other 6 ships of the Silent Fleet hung in space like sleeping predators. The Stormbreaker, Shadowhawk, Nightfall, Vanguard, Defiance, and Redemption. Each one a marvel of human engineering pushed beyond conventional limits. "Mr. Park, initiate the jump sequence. All ships follow Thunderhawk's lead." The quantum drive engaged with a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Space twisted around the fleet as reality bent to accommodate their passage. The stars stretched into impossible spirals of light before snapping back into new configurations. The 7 ships of Earth's Silent Fleet had left normal space behind, traveling through dimensions that human science barely understood. During the journey, Alina reviewed everything they knew about their enemy. The Harvesters were described as mechanical entities of incredible sophistication, but the Zerathi had been unable to determine their true origins. They appeared in star systems without warning, systematically consuming planets and converting matter into more of their own kind. What made them particularly dangerous was their apparent ability to learn and adapt, becoming more efficient with each conquest. Chief Tactical Officer Maria Santos approached Elena's command chair with a data pad containing their battle plans. Santos was one of the finest strategic minds in the fleet, known for finding creative solutions to impossible problems. "Captain, I have been analyzing the Zerathi data on Harvester ship configurations. Their vessels are massive, heavily armored, and designed for siege warfare. They rely on overwhelming firepower rather than maneuverability. Our advantage will be speed and unpredictability." Alina studied the tactical displays showing Harvester ship designs. The enemy vessels looked more like mobile factories than warships, bristling with harvesting equipment and defensive weapons. They were built for function rather than elegance, designed to strip worlds bare with industrial efficiency. "What are our chances, Maria?" Santos paused before answering. "Against a single Harvester ship, excellent. Against the numbers the report in their system, we will need to be very clever and very lucky." The journey through quantum space gave the crew time to prepare, but it also allowed doubt to creep in. They were traveling farther from Earth than any human before them, to fight an enemy that had conquered civilizations millions of years old. Alina found herself walking the ship's corridors at night, checking on her crew and fighting her own fears. On the 10th day of travel, the quantum communicators crackled to life with another message from Zelarin. The Zerathi's voice carried new undertones of desperation. "Admiral Stone, Captain Vasquez, the situation has deteriorated rapidly. The Harvesters have accelerated their timeline. They will reach our final refuge in 15 of your days, not 30. Many of our people have already chosen to end their lives rather than face conversion into mechanical servants. Alina felt her heart sink. They were still 4 days from arrival, and the enemy was moving faster than anticipated. She opened a channel to all ships in the fleet. All vessels, this is Thunderhawk Actual. We are accelerating our approach. Engineering teams, I need maximum power to the quantum drives. We are going to push these ships beyond their design specifications. Chief Engineer Robert Chen's voice came through the speakers from the engine room. Captain, we can give you 20% more speed, but we risk quantum field collapse. If the drives fail during transit, we could be scattered across multiple dimensions. Do it, Chief. These people are counting on us. The silent fleet pushed deeper into quantum space, their passage leaving ripples in dimensions that existed beyond normal matter. Alina could feel the ships straining as they exceeded safe travel speeds, but she also felt something else, the determination that had driven humanity to survive every catastrophe their violent world had thrown at them. On the 14th day, they dropped back into normal space at the edge of the Zerathi system. What Alina saw on the main screen made her blood run cold. The system was dying. 3 of the 7 planets were gone, leaving only debris fields where worlds had once orbited. The remaining planets showed signs of massive industrial activity, their surfaces stripped and scarred by harvesting operations. Captain, Sensor Officer Lisa Wang called out, I am detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Hundreds of large vessels, all matching harvester profiles. And Captain, they are all moving toward the 4th planet. Alina studied the tactical display. The 4th planet was where the Zerathi had made their last stand, constructing massive shield generators to protect their final city. The shields were still holding, but the planet was completely surrounded by harvester ships. Communications, establish contact with the Zerathi leadership. Zellerin's voice came through with static interference from the industrial activity filling the system. Captain Vasquez, we feared you would not arrive in time. The harvesters began their final assault 6 hours ago. Our shields are failing. We estimate for hours before complete collapse. Alina looked at her tactical display showing over 300 enemy vessels. The largest harvester ships were the size of small moons, bristling with weapons and harvesting equipment. Any conventional military force would have considered the situation hopeless, but the silent fleet was not conventional. Zellerin, can you maintain communications and provide targeting data for high-priority harvester vessels? Yes, Captain. We have identified the command ships controlling the assault. But your 7 ships cannot possibly defeat such numbers. Alina smiled grimly. Zellerin, you are about to learn why humans are called deathworlders. All ships, this is Thunderhawk, execute Plan Omega. Show them what happens when you threaten our friends. The silent fleet spread out in attack formation, each ship taking a different approach vector to the planet. They moved with the precision of a pack of wolves, coordinating their movements through quantum-encrypted communications that the harvesters could not intercept. The Thunderhawk dove toward the largest cluster of enemy ships, its weapons systems charging to full power. Alina had spent years training for this moment, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of engaging an enemy that had conquered half the galaxy. All weapons target the lead command ship. Fire at will. The Thunderhawk's primary weapon was based on principles reverse-engineered from alien technology, creating controlled quantum singularities that could tear through any known material. The beam lanced out across space, striking the massive harvester vessel amidships. The enemy ship simply ceased to exist, consumed by a microscopic black hole that collapsed immediately after formation. Around the system, the other ships of the Silent Fleet were engaging with similar results. The harvesters had never encountered weapons that operated on quantum principles, and their defenses were completely inadequate. Ship after ship vanished, as humanity's finest weapons found their targets, but the harvesters adapted quickly. Alina watched in amazement as the enemy ships began modifying their shields and maneuvering patterns in real time, learning from each attack. Within minutes, they had developed countermeasures that reduced the effectiveness of the quantum weapons. "Captain," Santos called out, "they are learning faster than our projections indicated. We need to change tactics immediately." Alina nodded. This was exactly what made humans dangerous. When their first plan failed, they immediately developed a second one. All ships switch to pattern delta, use the asteroid belt for cover, and engage in hit-and-run attacks. Make them chase us through the debris field. The Silent Fleet disappeared into the dense asteroid belt that ringed the system, using the massive rocks for cover as they struck at isolated harvester ships. The enemy vessels were too large and unwieldy to effectively pursue the smaller human ships through the chaotic environment. Alina watched with pride as her captains demonstrated the tactical flexibility that set humans apart from other species. Captain Rodriguez of the Stormbreaker used a large asteroid as a slingshot, gaining enough velocity to ram through a harvester ship's shields and deliver a point-blank quantum torpedo strike. Captain Jung of the Shadowhawk led 3 enemy ships into a trap where the gravitational fields of 2 asteroids crushed them like insects. For the first time in their existence, the harvesters were facing an enemy that refused to fight according to predictable patterns. Every time they adapted to human tactics, the humans changed their approach. It was chaos, but it was controlled chaos directed by minds that had evolved on a world where adaptation meant survival. Captain Wong called out excitedly, "The harvesters are pulling back from the planet. They are repositioning to deal with us." Alina smiled. The plan was working. By making themselves a more immediate threat than the Zerathi they had drawn, the harvesters away from their primary target, now the real battle could begin. "Zellerin, how are your shields holding?" "They are stabilizing, Captain. But more importantly, we are witnessing something incredible. In all our recorded history, we have never seen any species fight the harvesters with such effectiveness. How are you accomplishing what entire civilizations could not?" Alina looked around her bridge at her crew, each one focused on their task, with the intensity that had carried humanity from caves to the stars. "Because, Zellerin, we come from a world that has been trying to kill us since the day we evolved. Everything we have learned about survival, we are about to teach the harvesters.